Hey guys, Vazzy back here. In today's video, I wanted to go over how coaching in these NHL games could be improved upon. Before we get into this video, I just want to say I absolutely love the addition of real-life coaches. If you guys did not know, going back to the November 1st update, real-life coaches were added to the game. So let's go and take a look at that November 1st roster in a franchise mode. Bear with me here as this will help me get my point across here for today's video. So let's go in here, just a normal franchise mode. This is on the EA Sports November 1st roster update. And let's go use the Boston Bruins here for an example. So loading in, conferences will be all good. Any of these settings don't matter. We're just jumping in here just for 1 second. And let's create the new league. So once we get in here, let's go right into the coaching staff, and you will see, obviously, at time of recording and when this update was released, Jim Montgomery was still the coach of the Boston Bruins. And this was great. This was awesome to see, having these real-life coaches finally added in after being out since, 2006 I think it was. So now that we've seen what the November 1st update looks like, let's go take a look at EA's most recent roster update from November 20th. So if you guys, again, weren't aware, Jim Montgomery was fired on November 19th. So in the November 20th update, he should no longer be the head coach of the Boston Bruins. So once again, let's go take a look in franchise mode here. Let's go use the Boston Bruins. All this stuff should be okay conference-wise. Settings, again, doesn't matter. We're just going to go take a look at the coaches. And then once again here, let's go create the new league and see who is behind the bench for the Boston Bruins. So now going into franchise mode here, go to the coaching staff. Who is the head coach? It's this Thorburn guy. So it's good to see that they are updating this, but it does suck to see that we don't have a Joe Sacco at least just yet. I'm assuming he's going to end up getting added in a future update, with it being just a 1-day differential period of when he was fired to when the update was released. Doesn't give him a lot of time to add in Sacco, so that makes sense to me of why he's not in the game. But what if we could create our own coaches so that we could make these changes ourselves? I honestly think this would be an amazing idea, and honestly here, just showing you guys the free agency list here, unfortunately there is still no Jim Montgomery in free agency. So even if we wanted to just create a coach and have him sit in free agency, at least then we would have that option where I'm guessing that if a coach is fired in real life, he'll end up leaving the coaches union, which will in turn make him so that he cannot be in this year's game, at least until he's rehired by a new team. But honestly, in the creation zone, in the created player, just have a very basic face templates that you can mess with, just like the created players, where we can make our own coaches that we can slot into the game. And this also goes with obviously adding in the ability to move draft picks around, which is a freedom that we never had until this year. This was one of the biggest changes and one of the best things I think they added this year. But honestly, in between maybe the last player and when the draft picks come up, why don't we have the coaches there that we can just move around manually? Again, it'll just help keep those rosters up to date, because if you want to always have the most up-to-date coaches, you'll always have to have the most up-to-date EA Sports roster, which unfortunately when you're building a custom roster, you're always going to be limited to the build that you have started on, and you'll never be able to change that. You'll never be able to go and add in any of those new coaches or new updates unless you merge the rosters with EA, and that is a whole entirely different story, and it's just a crazy amount of work. We're doing it right now. We will have a build out soon, but I'm never doing a merged roster again for one of these games. But that is a side note. I just think it would give a lot more freedom to the community, just like if they were to add uploaded images, which you could use for logos. I think that would be another great step. I did a video on that before, but we're in a spot here, especially offline users, franchise mode players, that everything is looking pretty good for us. It's just how can we, kind of tune those experiences, make them just a little bit more friendly for the player and for the people working on these files. I again would love to have a Joe Sacco as a coach. Unfortunately this year you're never going to see that. So like I said, we're not merging again. You will get 31 accurate coaches. You will still have Jim Montgomery on Boston though. So I don't know, just a suggestion here that I thought could be interesting for real life coaches in custom rosters. And I want to continue to make these videos, just small things that can make the game better. Again, this is kind of when they're starting work on next year's game, so you want to get all those ideas out there so they have time to add it in. But that'll do it for today's video. I will see you all in the next one.